All right, we good. What's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever, wherever, however you're watching this episode of the War Top Podcast. It's getting really late into the season. Before I say anything else, I'm gonna give you the verse of the day, and that is Psalm 34, verse 17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all of their trouble. Just be sure that no matter what you're doing, you crying out to God, uh, asking for forgiveness for Savior. Um, just know that all sin is forgiven through Christ, and you are not unsavable, no matter what you have done in this walk of life on this earth. Your soul can be saved. So don't ever think that it can't be. But with that being said, so I guess with that being said, we can get into Mizzou, Oklahoma. That's the first game of the week. Once again, I'm behind, so I don't even know if I don't know who's where. I don't know what time. I don't know betting odds.
Yeah, I got you. Alrighty. So, Oklahoma. It's at Oklahoma. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Um, let's see. As far as odds, I don't have the odds, but I would imagine Oklahoma's favored by probably at
10,
least a touchdown.
10 to
Yeah.
14 probably.
Oh, here we go. 7.5,
Okay, that's a little bit lower
according to
than
ESPN.
I had assumed.
Yeah, I would have too. Maybe they're counting on like a post Alabama defeat high or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, especially with them being down to the third string quarterback over there.
Yeah, right. I
Um,
would I would put that line more around 10. But hey, I don't make the lines.
my main question is, Damian or Daniel Hill had um, fairly decent success against that Oklahoma defense. Um, and let me just tell you, Ahmad Hardy is way better than Daniel Hill. No offense to
Oh yeah.
Daniel Hill, but Ahmad Hardy
Ahmad
is
Hardy's one of the
probably the
best.
best backs in all of college football. So what are
Right.
they going to do as a defense to respond if Mizzou has any chance at winning this game? It is through Ahmad Hardy. Um, as we saw this last week, I'll get in more to that later when we get into the awards. Sneak, sneak. Um, but yeah, you see what this guy can do. Just if they can contain that, I don't think they'll really have a problem. Um, this is another game that I don't think they'll have to do much offensively to find a way to win. Um, and you know, Missouri's a three-loss team, correct?
Correct.
So they're essentially out of the playoffs. And from what I'm hearing, Eli Drinkwitz is taking a lot of interviews right now. So how distracted is he when it comes to this game? I think the odds are stacked against Missouri, um, and Oklahoma's still fighting for their chance to play in the playoffs. And this is a must-win for them, and I think they're going to win it. Um, this defense is really impressive. I've said it over and over and over again. I think this is the best defense in the SEC. I don't know how you feel about that, um, but I just don't think there's anything Mizzou can do offensively to find their way to win this game.
No, I agree. I do think Oklahoma does have the best defense in the SEC. That's not a stretch. I think they did last year too. Or at least they definitely had a top three defense last year. Their defense is really good. That's just Brent Venables.
Right.
He's a defensive guy. He's gonna be a really good, have a really good defense, especially like the guys on that defense. Some really good dudes. Um, so yeah, I'd agree. It anytime you kind of get in a situation like this where Missouri's weakness, which would be like quarterback play right now, offense just offensively in general because of the quarterback situation, versus Oklahoma's strength, um, you usually go with the strength. Like I'm gonna go Oklahoma, obviously. Um, the only way like Missouri finds a way to win this game is it's got to be like a dirty game. There's got to be like turnovers, something insane has to happen. Like I just think if these two teams just come and play an evenly fought matchup, like Missouri's not beating Oklahoma, not with the third string quarterback. And yes, Ahmad Hardy is going to have to go have an insane day to win this game. At least I think so. You said the same thing. Oklahoma's rushing defense is fourth in the nation. So it's not even going to be easy for that to happen.
No.
So I think Ahmad Hardy's going to have a good day, but I just don't think it's going to be enough because Oklahoma's offense is not buns. They're not great, but they're not terrible. Let's be real. They're pretty good. So they're going to give Missouri a run for their money on both sides of the football, and it's going to be fairly comfortable. UAB basketball just beat somebody 112-56. They doubled the other team's points. Sorry, I just got that notification, and that kind of took me by surprise because that's a beatdown. Anyway, yeah, give me Oklahoma. It's just going to be too easy, I think.
I think insane day for Ahmad Hardy is the understatement if they want to win. He's going to have like Ashton Genty at Boise State kind of day.
What do we think? At 200, he's got to have at least 200 yards.
Well,
3 touchdowns.
He just had 300.
Yeah.
You probably have to have something similar, if they want to win. I mean, and this was before all the injuries, but Auburn neutralized Ahmad Hardy very well when they played. And if Auburn can do it, I guarantee you Oklahoma can do it. Like you said, the fourth rushing defense in the nation. It's just going to be a rough day. I mean, they're already one of the best rushing defenses in the nation, and now they're going to have a whole week to prepare for nothing but the run game. Yeah, I'll take Oklahoma. Like I said, that's crazy that they're only a 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll see much from the Oklahoma offense. I don't think they'll have to do much. I think this will just be a control it, beginning to end type of game for Oklahoma. Don't do too much. Don't run up the score. Just control the pace, control the time, and get out of there with an easy win.
Yeah. No, Missouri's offense, their passing is 91st in the country, and their rushing is 6th. So they, the passing, obviously a huge drop-off since the injuries. But yeah, this game is going to be one who can run the football, and maybe Missouri will surprise us and win a different way. I just don't see it. I think outside of like a crazy amount of turnovers, maybe some luck on special teams, I think Oklahoma cruises through this game, probably winning by in between that 10 to 17 point margin, like somewhere in there. Somewhat comfortable, but not like a beat down as you would think of like a traditional beat down. Just trying to stay healthy, probably pull some people, really getting ready, because then the next week they got LSU, and LSU is not a bad football team. And you don't want to overlook it, but if you get...
But with that being said, I guess we'll get into Louisville, SMU.
Half-point favorite, according to ESPN. That's 11 a.m. kick. Another 11 a.m.
Whew. Early bird gets the worm, I guess.
Yeah. Louisville is coming off a loss.
Louisville is coming off of a loss. A disappointing loss to Clemson. That killed their season.
It was a good game, but yeah, it
did. They have lost their playoff hopes. These are two, I think, good ACC teams. Both 3-loss teams, both fighting for pride at this point. I think SMU still has a shot at making the ACC championship game. I think Virginia is the favorite right now to get there.
Georgia Tech.
Well, Georgia Tech
have like one
and Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Georgia Tech is a lock. Um,
Um, I think that I don't know. I'm not sure. I think they have to beat Pitt. Like crazy stuff could happen if they lose to Pitt.
oh, right. That makes sense because they did lose to NC State. I apologize.
But they could lose to Pitt and still make the ACC title game. Like other stuff would have to happen, I think.
Um, so I guess right now the favorite would be Virginia because all they have to do is beat Virginia Tech, and that's not necessarily a. I think Virginia losing to Virginia Tech is a lower possibility than Pitt upsetting Georgia Tech. I think that is a very possible game
Let's
because
see.
Virginia's already played 11 games. Virginia Tech is their 12th.
Let's see.
So
Georgia Tech is the favorite. Virginia is next, then SMU, then Miami. So Virginia's second. Yeah.
it's really
So
weird.
it's more than likely, yeah, more than likely going to be Georgia Tech and Virginia. Probably because Georgia Tech, their last game of the season, is Georgia, not a conference game, so they can lose that one and it doesn't affect them at all. So that's probably why.
Right. But nevertheless, both of these teams still, amidst chaos, could find their way into the ACC championship game. Um, and both of these teams are very solid teams. Both of these teams can go to a good bowl game. Um, I'm cheering for SMU. Maybe Rhett Lashley is the potential Auburn head coach. Who knows? I mean, I say that maybe Jeff Brom. I've heard otherwise about Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never
Never
know.
know.
This is a tough game because I think both teams are really good offensively. Um, I think it just is whoever the better defense is going to be, and if I have to go with you know just who I think is the better defense, I think it would be Louisville. Getting more stops, getting off the field. Um, I just don't think SMU is going to be able to score as much as they want to, and they're not going to be able to stop Louisville as consistently as they want to. Um, I'm going to take Louisville upsetting SMU at home.
Hey, yeah. Um, obviously Louisville coming off a tough loss on a Friday night, so they do have an extra day to get rest, recovery, and preparation for this game. But it is at SMU. They both have the same record. They're both 7-3. Um, so I don't know. I don't really know too much about these teams, but I like both coaches. I think they're both really good coaches. Um, I don't know. You went Louisville. I'll go SMU. Why not? Um, just so we have a little bit of difference. I'll go with the home team. To get it done. Um, let's see. Let's look at these stats here. Let's see. So SMU ranks 93rd in third down percentage on offense, and Louisville on defense ranks 17th. So that doesn't go in my favor. But SMU does have a plus 11 turnover margin, which is sixth in the nation. So they protect the football. Louisville does not. That could be a way for SMU to win. Both teams are super penalized. SMU does have the second best red zone defense in the FBS, so that's something. Let's see. Both time of possession not very good. Yeah, I'm gonna go SMU. I just think they are more experienced. Kevin Jennings did play in a college football playoff game last year. Um, so did everyone else on the SMU roster. I'll just go with the home team. They've been really good at home. They will beat Miami there just a few weeks ago. So they both these teams beat Miami. So this game. Whoever loses this game is guaranteed season over. And when it comes to ACC title and playoff wise, whoever wins still has a slimmer of hope. So yeah, I'll go with SMU. I think they have more to play for because I think Louisville Crazy things would have to happen for them to end up in the ACC title game. Uh, SMU has a clearer path, so I think that kind of helps SMU like actually have something more to play for. So I'll go with the Mustangs.
If you're a Miami fan, you're just hoping and praying that somehow, some way in this new age that we can find a way to tie. Unfortunately for you, that's not going to happen. Um, I don't know. I think this game could go either way. I think it will be an interesting game. Um, like I said, I like both coaches. You know, if either one of these coaches want to come head coach at Auburn, I heard there's an opening. So
I've heard the same thing. I've heard they're looking for somebody down there. I've heard Jimbo Fisher is in discussion, of course.
by the way, there
Maybe
have been zero Jimbo Fisher interviews so far.
oh dang. Oh.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think that one's happening.
which is why it would happen. Which is why it would
You're
happen.
right. You're right. That would be the most Auburn thing
No,
to do.
no, it'd be the most Auburn thing, but it would not be the most. Is it Jim Cohen? John Cohen. I always get it wrong.
John Cohen.
John Cohen. It would not be a John Cohen thing to do. I think he's got his crap together. Unfortunately.
I think he does too. I really like John Cohen. I hope he gets it right because if we let him go, I will be in shambles.
Well, if he gets it wrong, he's gone. That's just the nature of it.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to while we're here talking about John Cohen, I just want to bring up something that I hear a lot of Auburn fans say, and I think it's absolutely stupid. They want Bruce Pearl for AD. That is the worst thing you could do.
Why?
If Bruce Pearl became AD and he made a few bad hires, then you would have to literally just end things badly when it doesn't have to be.
You'd have to exile him, and that's just not.
I think his position right now is assistant AD, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. You know, he's got his hands on it, but he's not controlling anything. You know, at the end of the day, it's John Cohen's calls. And these Auburn guys are like, yeah, Bruce Pearl should totally be the no. You don't take a guy like that everybody loves and is a true Auburn guy and put him in a position like that where if he fails, you now have to just things are sour. I just wanted to say that. I think it's absolutely stupid that people say that.
Look, that assistant AD position is perfect for him because all that is you're just working with boosters with other people who are funding the university, people around the university. And Bruce Pearl has that personality where he knows people, he can generate some excitement. But look, Bruce Pearl, could you imagine him being the AD and Steve Pearl sucks? What is he gonna do? Seriously? And then also, with all due respect to Bruce Pearl, excellent basketball coach. Do you really want him hiring your football coach?
No.
No, he's a basketball guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. So anybody saying that needs to get their head on straight because that's just stupid. With all due respect to anybody who feels that way.
I've just heard it a few times. You said this was a 12 a.m. game there, 2 o'clock here?
Well, definitely not 12 a.m. That's midnight, 12 p.m.
12 p.m., yeah. That's what I said.
I mean 12:30 p.m.
12:30 p.m. Over there. So it's basically an early game for them. And you said 10.5 point favorite for Oregon. Like I said, I have no notes this week. Oregon, outside of their last week, has not looked all that great. I'm just gonna be honest. I haven't seen anything from them crazily on offense. Their defense, it's been better than most Oregon teams. I'm going to say it. I think USC pulls off the upset. I think this is a USC defense who can compete with Big Ten teams. Have competed with Big Ten teams. And I think they will continue to compete with Big Ten teams. This is an offense that we know can score the ball. And the thing to me is they just played a fairly defensive game against Iowa and did fairly well. I think the final was 26-22 or 26-21, something like that.
Yeah.
I did not watch the game. Um, but just gut feeling alone, I think the USC defense is going to get it done. I don't think the Oregon defense is going to be able to stop that USC offense. My only concern is Lincoln Riley's name is coming up in coaching positions. LSU, Auburn, uh, Florida, Penn State. His name is being mentioned. He has been interviewed by some of these places. Auburn. He has been interviewed. So where is his head at? I think, a lot of these head coaches are getting interviewed. Um, but I think Lincoln Riley is very aware that his season is on the line right now, and he has to come up with a really good game plan. He has to hit Oregon in the mouth, and I think they will do so. Like I said, I just think this USC defense is going to find a way to get it done. Not necessarily the offense, but the defense.
Interesting take. I think Oregon wins. I just think they're the better team all around. I'm really high on Oregon. Um, I have not predicted an Oregon game wrong this year. We've only predicted Oregon twice, three times, three times. One when they went to Penn State, I predicted them to win. One when Indiana went and beat Oregon, I picked that one. And then recently when they went to Iowa, um, we predicted that one too, and we both picked Oregon, I believe. Um, so I haven't missed on a pick this year, so far for Oregon, and I'm hoping that stays true. Give me Oregon. I just think they're the better team. Although I think this is a style that does not favor well for Oregon. I think you just got to look back at the Indiana game. Indiana really good on offense, solid defense, but really good on offense. USC obviously really good on offense. Um, One conversation that we need to have: what happens if Oregon loses this game? Seriously, they'd be 9-2
Mm-hmm.
heading into the final game at Washington. Oregon's only played two real games this season against like ranked opponents at this point, and it would be USC and Indiana. If they lose both those games at home, there is a conversation to be had. If the playoff field gets mucky to this, does Oregon get left out? Because at that point, they'd have no, their best win would be Penn State. Seriously, their best win would be Penn State and at Iowa. So there's a real conversation to be had there. I personally don't think so. I think other stuff would have to happen for that to come up. But that's an interesting conversation to have, especially if they lose this game and then they go to Washington and lose, they're guaranteed out. They're not making it in. Um, so these two next games are very important for Oregon. But you're right, USC, they lose, it's over for them too. So I kind of am looking at this game almost as an elimination game for both teams, just because I think you're really uncomfortable if you're Oregon if you lose, um, especially with the schedule that they've played. Um, and then obviously USC, I just don't see a path if they don't win. So they need to win for sure. Um, but I'm going to take the home team, Autzen Stadium. It is loud. It is rambunctious. They're going to be out. They're going to be ready to cheer. And I think Dan Lanning is a better coach than Lincoln Riley. I think they have a better team. I think it will be a good game. 10.5 seems steep, so I think USC covers. But give me Oregon to win the football game.
I say it like this: if USC wins this football game, and this is not like trying to overlook UCLA,
Yeah,
they would have to absolutely blow it to lose to
yeah,
UCLA. If they win this game, I would say they've essentially booked their ticket
yeah. They've gotten
because
their
they're
ticket,
unless
which
unless
yeah,
something catastrophic happens, they're not going to the Big Ten championship, so they have no opportunity to even compete. Like, so they can't win nor they can't lose.
well
Um,
they could. They only have one conference loss, so it would be like crazy stuff would have to happen,
but yeah,
but they could.
that's what I'm saying. Like, catastrophic things would have to happen for them to go.
Yeah.
Um, I highly doubt that. I think it's going to be Indiana, Ohio State. Um, and if that does happen, you know, they're 10-2 with wins against Oregon, Nebraska,
Michigan.
Michigan, Iowa, Illinois. Well, no, they lost to Illinois. But they have ranked wins.
Yeah.
And I think that would essentially book USC's ticket. So I think Riley Lincoln Riley. I don't know what I was about to say. I think Lincoln Riley can come up with one good game plan to get him over the hump against Oregon, and then essentially you're not just coasting, but you can take a breather and do your best to beat UCLA. They would have to absolutely blow it to lose to UCLA.
You know what this season reminds me of? A couple of years ago, the year Saban's last year, the last year of the 14 playoff. I remember sitting here about this time of year. Alabama had already lost to Texas, and then like one loss, like you were in trouble. Now one loss and you're good, you're chilling. And Oregon USC, that was a big game to determine like even like if Alabama could potentially make the playoffs later on. So I don't know. I don't know why that just reminded me of that. And then the Oregon Washington game was really big for that too. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oregon. Ultimately, there was something I was thinking about. Oh, the path for USC it's not even catastrophic. Come to think of it, because if Michigan beats Ohio State at Michigan, then Michigan would only have one Big Ten loss, the head-to-head over Ohio State, which would put them in the Big Ten championship game over Ohio State. Obviously, Indiana would just be in. But then USC would only have one Big Ten loss, and their head-to-head over Michigan would put them in over Michigan. So all that would have to happen is USC win out, and then Michigan beat Ohio State. That's all that would have to happen. So it's actually not even that crazy to say USC could sneak their way in there. They'd need a little help, yes, but it's not crazy.
Hey, we'll see. This is probably the biggest game of the week. I don't know if College Game Day will be up there. Do you know?
It is. It is there. Yes.
I think this is the most impactful game so far of the season. Honestly, this could create a whole tidal wave of movement through the college football playoffs. And we'll see what happens.
I mean, there is a serious scenario where USC wins this game, Oregon goes and beats Washington, and then Michigan goes and beats Ohio State. So you have Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, and Oregon, all with 2 or less losses, probably all making the playoffs, and that would be that would be scary, because then there's some good SEC teams that would get the bump too. Or would get the bump out in that situation, possibly a 2-loss Vandy, maybe even like if Alabama beats Auburn, and then like that would be worst case scenario for Alabama if they went and lost the SEC championship game. Even though I still think the committee wouldn't cut them out because of that, but 5 Big Ten teams coming in would be the worst case scenario for any SEC team outside of the one that wins the conference. So that's one thing to look at as well. So, in this game is the catalyst for it. This is where it starts. So I need Oregon to win. Please, Oregon, just eliminate USC and get them out of the picture. Please.
I have nothing more.
I don't either. But I agree with you. This is a really big game.
The next game on the list, this is a big game as well when it comes to playoffs and, conference champions. Pitt versus Georgia Tech. Pitt still obviously looking for their way to get into the ACC championship game. It's still very possible. Like I said earlier, the 2 favorites are Georgia Tech and Virginia. After that, I don't know who it is. I don't know what the order is right now in the ACC.
I believe it's Miami next, maybe.
No.
Let's see.
Miami's got 2 losses.
Georgia Tech, SMU. Yeah, Georgia Tech, SMU, then Miami, and then it's Pittsburgh fifth.
Did you forget Virginia?
Virginia's second. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU. Yeah.
Okay, 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 yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the ACC is just a crazy place right now. Um, it's really up for grabs for anyone. And these last 2 weeks are big, and this game specifically is really big. If Pitt wins, the ACC is just going to be, turned upside down essentially.
It
Georgia
already
Tech,
is.
yeah, yeah. Georgia Tech would have
Yeah.
to win
Whew.
out, or they would have to beat Georgia if they still want a chance to go to the college football playoffs. Um, Big game. It's a huge game. If Pitt wins, I don't even know. All the possibilities of the ACC right now are insane. I can't tell you them. I cannot tell you them. Um, I think it. What does this mean for the college football playoffs? Because let's say Georgia Tech loses to Pitt, right? And now you have Virginia. Let's say Virginia loses to Virginia Tech. Let's say Georgia Tech loses to Georgia. You know, let's say Georgia Tech goes to the ACC championship, and maybe a team like, I don't know, maybe a team like Pitt,
SMU.
or maybe an SMU. Now
Yeah.
you got these 2 3 loss teams in the ACC championship game. If you win, do you get to go to the college football playoffs?
Yeah, you might not. Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know,
Yeah.
because then they change it. You don't get an automatic bid anymore.
Well, you didn't before. The only rule was the five highest rated conference champions. So the five conference champions are getting an automatic bid, but it doesn't have to include the four power conferences. So if the five
Okay.
highest rated conference champions are from the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the American,
American.
and like Conference USA, then that's what it is. So it'd be interesting how they handle it if
But
the ACC does implode upon itself.
it would be crazy. It would be absolutely insane. And there is a world where a 3 loss team can get in. Um, if that does happen and something happens in Conference USA or the American.
Yeah, it did happen last year. George Clemson represented the
Clemson.
ACC, and they
Yep.
they had three losses. So it did happen. You gotta love the ACC, man. You gotta love it.
It is definitely an insane game. I think Georgia Tech's gonna win. I just think they're a better team. I think they have a better coach. And really, it just goes back to last week. If you, as a head coach, have that kind of attitude and say, "Oh, this game doesn't matter," I don't want to take you in any game. Those kind of attitudes, it bothers me as a football fan, as a college football fan, not as an Auburn fan, not as a Pitt fan. Not, I don't care who you are. Um, just as a college football fan, if you have that kind of attitude, it really bothers me. It really gets under my skin. As a head coach of Power Four school, you cannot say stuff like that. He did, um, and what got me, even after you do that, right? You lose the game, and then on the final drive, you call a timeout with 9 seconds. Cool, that does not bother me. You score the touchdown, and you're celebrating. What are we celebrating for? You just lost. You celebrating
Got
because you
whooped.
scored with 9 seconds left on the clock? I don't know. That really bothered me, um, as well. Um, if you want to go for the score, cool. That doesn't bother me at all. But celebrating afterwards does, because you do not deserve the right to celebrate after getting whooped, and you just scored a touchdown in garbage time. So I don't want to choose Pitt to win any game for the rest of the year.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna go Georgia Tech too. Pitt 7-3, Georgia Tech 9-1. We didn't say it. Georgia. This is a night game. at Georgia Tech, 6 o'clock kick. Georgia Tech is only favored by 2.5, which basically means on a neutral site, they feel like these two teams are even. I pick them
That's
because they say home field
insane.
advantage is about 2.5 points, 2.5 to 3.5 points, which would basically be it'd be a pick 'em on a neutral site. Pitt only has one conference loss. They play at Georgia Tech, obviously, and then their next game is they bring in Miami. If they win both those games, they're in the ACC championship. Guaranteed. They only have one conference loss. That'd be enough. Um, that is flat out enough to get them in, which is why they have the fifth best odds to make it there. Um, so that's really interesting. Um, one of two things is probably going to happen in the ACC. Either Georgia Tech is going to separate themselves because they only have one loss in conference and overall. They're going to separate themselves and they're going to be the far favorite to, and they're just, they're going to go win their conference. Or this implodes on itself. This really could. Georgia Tech could go beat, or Pitt could go beat Georgia Tech. Pitt could go beat Miami. Georgia Tech could go lose to Georgia. Virginia, like you said, Virginia could lose to Virginia Tech. Like crazy things could happen, and the ACC miss out. I think more likely is Georgia Tech wins this game, and then regardless of what happens against Georgia, it doesn't really matter. And then I think they go win the um, the ACC title game, and they get their playoff spot. I think Georgia Tech makes the playoffs with maybe one more loss to Georgia. Um, we'll talk about that game next week. Could be an interesting game. It was last year. Um,
I think it
so
will be.
uh, yeah, I agree. Um, I guess did this is I didn't believe this. And when it comes to yards per game, where do you think Georgia Tech ranks in the entire country?
Um, I don't know.
Top like what? Top top 20?
I'd
Would you
say
think
top
that?
30.
30? Yeah. What about top 2 not 2? They're literally number 1.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't think
I
their
would not
pass
have thought
game
that.
was that good. I know they have an elite
With
run game.
their passing game's 26th in the nation.
That okay.
Um,
That's better than I would have
yeah.
guessed. I would have guessed around like 50th.
They average about like 497 yards a game,
Gosh.
which is good enough for number 1. Um, Georgia Tech, my only concern is their passing defense is 105th in the nation. Obviously, Pitt's passing offense is really good. You didn't really see it a whole lot last week. They didn't play bad, but that because that Notre Dame defense is good. Um, but Pitt definitely has a weakness, or excuse me, Georgia Tech does have a weakness in that secondary against the pass defense. If they have any weaknesses, like that's it. Um, and Pitt can exploit that. So that's where I think this game could get a bit rocky. Um, but look, I took Pitt last week off the idea that they'll be able to throw it on Notre Dame. I'm not making the mistake again. Give me Georgia Tech. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to be in a dogfight against Georgia. And then I think they're going to go win the ACC and they'll be in the college football playoffs. And it's really going to be as simple as that. But they need to win this game. If they don't win this game, they're in some trouble. Seriously. But an interesting way to talk about this. Um, so imagine Pitt wins this game and then they go beat Miami. Um, and then Pitt plays Virginia in the ACC title game, and Pitt wins, and so they get their ticket punched to the college football playoff. Virginia does not. They lose the title game. They do not. What if Georgia Tech goes and beats Georgia, and so they're sitting at 10-2? Do they get an automatic bid regardless? That's another topic that we could talk about. That is possible. I don't think that would happen. If they lose to Pitt, I think they would lose to Georgia, so it's not going to matter. But that is a real possibility. And once again, like these are all the things going through my head because I'm looking at a path where Alabama could beat Auburn and still not make the college football playoffs. Obviously, all these things are more unlikely to happen than not, but crazy things can still happen that could just be catastrophic for a team like Alabama. Or for a team like, look at Oregon, who has no good wins up until this point, should they lose to USC. So there's a lot of interesting things that could still happen, and this is another one of those games that could be really important should it go sideways in the long run. So give me Georgia Tech. and give me them to cover. Only a 2.5 point spread, so that's not crazy. Um, yeah, and I think this is kind of the stepping stone to Georgia Tech. If they win this game, they're automatically in the ACC championship game, regardless of what else happens. So give me Georgia Tech to win. Give me them to make the ACC title game. And then I'm looking forward to talking about Pitt Miami next week. We're talking about that game next week. Maybe. It depends how much time we got. Because that's a game that has big implications that could go either way because it's at Pitt. So, but we'll talk about that when the time comes.
I have nothing else. I will say
No.
I said I had nothing else. A few weeks ago I said I think the Big 12 is about to get crazy and flip upside down. I should have just said the ACC. I was wrong. It was the ACC. One conference got flipped upside down, and it was the ACC.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
That's why I love the ACC. Some people hating on the ACC. I love it. This is great football. Literally every game matters. Even if you have, you're a 7-3 Pitt, and that gummy, like you're still fighting for a playoff spot. Only the ACC. Nowhere else is a 3-loss team fighting for a playoff spot except for there. So that's fun. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's arguments to be had, but if you're a 3-loss Tennessee right now, ain't nobody talking about Tennessee making the college football playoff.
Yeah, no.
So
no. Not at all.
It's getting that point in the year where everything we talk about gets tied to the playoffs.
Yeah, because
can be tied
everything can be shaken with one upset.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is bound to happen. Something is bound to happen.
One did this past weekend, unfortunately. That was a big stone to fall, unfortunately.
I don't want to talk about it. I can't even pick a bandwagon correctly. It just hurts. But with the last game on the list, another game that could really shake up the Big 12 is BYU versus Cincinnati. A lot would have to happen for Cincinnati to get in. Texas Tech would have to lose to West Virginia, and Utah would have to lose to Kansas. Cincinnati would have to beat BYU. West Virginia would have to beat Texas Tech, and Kansas would have to beat Utah for Cincinnati to get a chance to get in. I don't know how it would all play out. I don't think Cincinnati could get in. But let's say BYU loses. Now they're a 9-2 team, and they have to go play UCF. They should win that game. But now they're left out of the Big 12 championship game because of who they lose to. No, they lost to Texas Tech.
Yeah, they're still in. They are still poised. They just got to win this game, and they're in.
This would be okay. Now I have a lot of questions. If they lose, what would happen? Would they just still be in?
If they lose, Cincinnati has an argument. Because at that point, Cincinnati would be a 2-loss conference team. Utah would be a 2-loss conference team. BYU would be a 2-loss conference team. So, like you said, ACC chaos. You could still be right about this and this would be the game to make it happen. If Cincinnati beats BYU, anarchy in the Big 12 would take place. I don't even know who would get it at that point. I could look at the standings.
Cincinnati has lost to Utah, and BYU has beat Utah. Cincinnati's other loss was to Arizona. Maybe a Houston or Arizona State would jump.
You know what, though? Look at Houston. Houston beat
Arizona State. They lost Texas Tech.
So I think it would still... I think if Cincinnati won this game, Cincinnati would, if everything played out, it would be Cincinnati in the Big 12 title game because Houston has 2 conference losses. I I think one's to Cincinnati. No, did Houston beat Cincinnati? No, they did not. No, they did not.
No.
Because Cincinnati would have the head-to-head over BYU, and then Utah, and then BYU would have the head-to-head over Utah. So that would eliminate Utah and eliminate BYU. It would be Cincinnati, if Cincinnati won this game.
Well, see, here's my question because Cincinnati has lost to Utah.
And see, that would be interesting then.
Because
So it would be like
BYU
a
has beat
three-way.
Utah.
So then could an Arizona State find a way?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they
that's what I
also
was
only
saying.
have
Like
two
a
conference
Houston.
losses.
Well, I think it would be Houston,
Houston or
because
Arizona
Houston
State.
has beat Arizona State,
They did beat. Yeah, you're right.
and so
But Arizona State, yeah, could be. I don't know.
Houston's losses
The
are Texas Tech and West Virginia.
Also every conference has their own rules about how they deal with tiebreakers. So we're saying this, but it could just be a weird role in there how they calculated, and especially if all these teams have beaten other teams and lost to other teams. So we could be looking at this and somehow it still be BYU regardless. I don't know. Um, but I do know this game is important because if BYU wins, more than likely they're going to the title game versus Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is a lock, correct? I believe.
They have that one conference loss, so if they drop another one, they will also be in the two conference loss mix. I don't know who they play. I don't think anybody good.
They played West Virginia.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, look, it's not insane. And then the next week they play. Yeah, they're
I
off this week, and they play West Virginia.
I would argue that they're a lock because they have beaten Utah, Houston, Arizona State, and BYU, and that's the
Yeah,
literal following teams in order of the Big
yeah,
12. Like the rankings are
yeah.
Texas Tech
Maybe so.
1,
Maybe
BYU, Utah, Houston, Arizona State, then Cincinnati.
yeah. So maybe I don't know how their role, how like they play it out over there, but maybe Arizona State would get the bump because they'd be the only team to beat Texas Tech. Maybe they look at wins instead of losses. I don't know how.
Um, I have I don't even like. We could go on and on forever about this
Yeah,
madness that we're in right now.
no.
Um, so I really don't have any further remarks on this crazy madness that's going on with playoffs, with conference champions. Who do we think the G5 team is going to be now? Who do you think? If you had to guess.
Dude, I don't know. North Texas or JMU?
I think it's North
Uh,
Texas.
yeah, North Texas beat Navy. Obviously, Navy beat USF. Um, Tulane beat Memphis, which kind of Tulane and UAB, go Blazers.
And
Kind of
ECU.
ruined Memphis's chance. Yeah, and did ECU win that game?
Yeah, ECU won.
Dude, I was so distracted with the Alabama game. When Alabama loses, I shut everything else out. So I had no idea who won that game. Thanks for telling me. So Memphis, out of there.
Yeah.
But JMU only has one loss, and
I believe North Texas only has one loss.
there could be, yeah, if somebody beats North Texas or JMU, the other team could get the bid, um, or they both could make it. There is a possibility of that happening should the ACC implode on itself.
Oh
Crazy enough.
man, this is crazy.
Could you imagine JMU and North Texas both making the playoff?
I
Nuts.
think
And then, phew,
which Tulane's only 8-2 as well. So Tulane and Navy's 8-2. Um, gosh, it's crazy. I'm trying to look
you know,
at
you
both of
know,
these conferences right
you,
now.
you, what's insane is it. We could get to the playoffs. If you would have told us before the season, let's say this does happen. If you would have told us before the season that Indiana, Vandy, JMU, and North Texas would all be playoff teams, I think I would have just not watched any college football. I don't know what happened. What's happened? How is that even possible? But that is all are very real possibilities.
If I had to guess, I'm gonna say North Texas just because I think American Conference is the stronger conference.
I agree.
Um,
Their schedule's much more difficult than JMU's, with all due respect. Which
it's
I would love. Which USF is still the betting favorite. according to FanDuel, to be
which
the
is
G5 bid.
which is crazy. There's no way.
Um,
There's no way USF gets in. Well,
they'd have to
there is
win
a
the American.
way, but
They'd have to win the American. No choice. No choice. Which whoever gets in is going to have to win their conference, but USF very little room. Just to mess up.
so
That's for
right
sure.
now, the American Conference standings are Navy sitting at 6-1 in conference play, Tulane's 5-1 in conference play, North Texas 5-1 in conference play, ECU 5-1 in conference play, and then USF at 4-2 in conference play.
Yeah, one thing to look at with Navy is they still have the Army Navy game,
Army-Navy.
which is a week after the big rivalry week, week 14. They play week 15. And that game, even though Navy's the better team, like you don't ever count out either team in that game either, because that's a big game for both those teams.
Well, you know who they play
America's game.
rivalry week?
I think they both get buys. I think they both are off that week.
They play,
really?
They play Memphis.
Who does? Navy?
Navy plays Memphis.
What? Dang. That's gonna be interesting. Where at?
Oh, okay. I see what happened. The Army Navy game is the 13th of December.
Yes. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. When's the conference championship week? The week before that?
Honestly, I have no clue when that will happen. It might be.
Because it'd have to be. Because the first round of the college football playoff is the 19th and the 20th. Wait, so
now there's some even bigger questions going on over here.
because if they play one less conference game and then go into could Navy make the conference championship game playing one less conference game than everyone else and then win? Could they win the conference championship game, get the G5 bid, turn around and lose to Army and still be in the playoffs because Selection Sunday is before that game?
Well, no, they'd still have the same amount of conference games. Because Memphis will be their
Army
8th game in conference play.
Oh, but Army's a conference. Maybe they just don't count it as a conference game.
I think it's.
They must not. It must just be a. You know how the ACC, like, they've done a few games that aren't considered conference games, but you're playing an ACC opponent. I wonder if it's the same way.
I don't know.
But still, regardless, there is a real path for Navy to win the American, get the playoff bid, and then turn around and lose to Army the next week, and then still have a playoff game the very next week. Like, it's not impossible. Improbable, yes. Not impossible.
I don't. Now it's so crazy. I don't even know if Navy can get in.
So does the playoff committee not? So okay, let's say JMU wins out and Navy wins out. So you're deciding the G5 bid on Navy and JMU. Do you bump Navy down because they still have a game to play, versus JMU, like their resume is solidified? I don't know. They've never had that predicament before, so we don't know how they would react.
This is weird. This is so weird. This is such a
And
weird
maybe none
time.
of it will matter, but that's insane.
It's such a weird time. I don't know, man. My brain is hurting just trying to comprehend.
Put it all together.
Oh man. So I have nothing left with this insane playoff
No.
jumbled up mess that they got right now.
Yeah. This is something that will definitely, like, every game we talk about from here on out will inevitably also talk about how does this affect the college football playoff.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so I hope you like talking about that because we're going to be talking a lot about it,
That
like we
would
did
be a
today.
lot more fun if I had a competitive team, but unfortunately, I don't.
Mm. Yeah, what's Auburn's path to the playoffs looking like?
Um, I can't tell you that on Twitch. It would probably like there would have to be a lot of explosions, um, a lot of casualties for Auburn's path
So
to the playoffs.
I would say there would have to be so much destruction that they probably cancel the college football playoffs before Auburn gets in the playoffs.
They might shut down the United States of America if there
Yeah,
was a path to
yeah,
Auburn getting in the college football playoffs. We might be at World War III if Auburn were to
yeah.
find their way.
In fact, so much stuff would probably have to happen. We'd probably just be dead, so it wouldn't matter for us. So like crazy stuff would have to happen
Yeah, yeah.
because
Crazy stuff that
given
I'd
our
rather not
pro,
see
pro,
happen.
yeah, given our proximity to Tuscaloosa, Alabama,
Yeah.
and to Auburn, quite frankly, and to Oxford, and to Athens, and to Nashville, yeah, we'd be dead too, right in the middle of all of it. And the SEC office is like 20 minutes that way. So that's yeah, we'd be dead.
With that being said, we're gonna get into the awards of the week. So first off, player of the week. I just can never pick one. Apparently, I have
I
two.
also have to.
I have two players of the week. Number one, if I have to give it to absolutely one person, Ahmad Hardy. 25 carries, 300 yards in an SEC game, 3 touchdowns. It's unbelievable.
Dog.
That's unbelievable. Um, it's crazy. That's like some of the best backs to ever come to the SEC. Those kind of numbers, like those are Nick Chubb,
Yeah.
Herschel Walker, Derrick Henry. Those kind of numbers. Um,
Heisman winning numbers.
yeah, and he's not
All those
even
guys won a
he's not
Heisman.
even being talked
Yeah,
about.
he's no.
Um, and then after that, I wanted to throw in Jacob Rodriguez, 9 tackles, 1 pass deflection, an interception, and a rushing touchdown.
And a
A
touchdown. Yeah.
monster game for him. He continues his Heisman push. I think he should at least be a finalist, in my opinion. I think he deserves it. Um, there's so much quarterback conversation. Who deserves it? Um, put Jacob Rodriguez in the finalists. I think he deserves it. One of the best defensive players in the country.
Yeah, he's actually ahead of Ty Simpson in the Heisman odds right now.
Crazy.
Yeah. Which I'll be honest, I honestly disagree with because I mean, if Ty Simpson goes and balls out the next 2 weeks and then balls out in the SEC championship game, like there's a real conversation to be had then too.
Right.
But I agree, he should be in the conversation. I had Ahmad Hardy as one of my two. I also had two, but I ultimately went with Fernando Mendoza. Incredibly efficient, 22 of 24, 299, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a dominant win against a good Wisconsin defense. He didn't play no bums on the defensive side of the football. Wisconsin's offense sucks. Their defense does not suck. So I'm gonna go with Fernando Mendoza, but I did also consider Jacob Rodriguez, and then Ahmad Hardy. So we're pretty much on the same page there. But I'll go Mendoza. That was an impressive game. Probably, if I had to pick right now, I would say Mendoza's going to win the Heisman. He deserves it. The way he's been playing.
I think he is the probable winner. He did have a monster game. And then the next award, Play of the Week. I'm gonna make mine quick and easy. I'm gonna rip it off like a band-aid for you. I'm sorry. Eli Bowen, 87-yard pick six against Alabama. It turned it. No offense, not trying to play on words, but it turned the tide. That was a game-changing play. It really was. And I just think with what it meant to Oklahoma, what it meant to their season. I think that has to be my play of the week.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Ty Simpson threw the ball straight at his chest,
Yeah,
and then the only guy he had to beat was Ty Simpson. So, for those reasons, all things considered, big play, not that much of an impressive play per se. Like good play, but like there's a lot of other players who could have made that catch and ran it back. Um, so I did consider that play. I'll be honest, it was on my list. I did not go with it. I went with Malachi Fields' one-handed catch for Notre Dame against Pitt. Made a great catch and then got rocked and held onto the football. I'm a sucker for really good catches, and I about jumped out my seat when I saw that play. It was a really good catch, so I went with that one.
I got you. I got you. I'm not trying to throw no salt on the wound over there.
No, 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 it's okay. It's okay.
I know it hurts.
I, yeah, hurts. It hurts, and then I always remember it could be worse.
Yeah, you could be in my shoes.
That is a possible that I could have been, but see, I'm from Tennessee, so I always think, man, I could have been born into a Tennessee family, and that would have that would have been terrible. So.
Hey, it can still get worse. Just know that.
No,
It can
it
still
could.
get worse.
It could. It definitely could. I
Um,
mean, just imagine. Yeah, it could get much worse. We'll say that.
um, game of the week for me was Texas A&M versus South Carolina. I mean, how could it not be? It was extremely fun to watch. I thought it was extremely hilarious that Shane Beamer is going into the locker room, hyping up the crowd, laughing. Oh, he's clapping at the crowd, all hype. He doesn't score another point for the rest of the game. Oh man.
You idiot, dude.
But that was
What
my
an idiot.
game of the week. For obvious reasons.
So that's my honorable mention. I'll throw that out there. Um, and I'll talk more about that game later, not to spoil anything, but that's somewhere else on my list. Um, I went with USF at Navy, 41 to 38, high scoring, a lot of big playoff implications. Um, so give me that game. I thought that was a really good game. I enjoyed flipping back and forth, seeing some of that game. Very little of that game, but I went back and watched the highlights, and it was a fun game to watch.
Every every
Um,
um every time I tried to stop, like, what other game was on at that time? I was flipping
it
between.
was the South Carolina Texas A&M game.
Yeah, I was trying
Yeah,
so hard to want to watch, like, but I couldn't choose what game I wanted to watch. I was
yeah,
literally struggling, because every time I turned on the USF game, it was like, Navy scored, it's out of reach, and then USF would just make something happen offensively,
find a way to come back.
and then
Yeah,
I'd come back to the Texas A&M game, and they're in the end zone again. I'm like, what is going on? Um, it
yeah.
was definitely hard for me to pick between those
The
two,
the, the
but
reason
it's fun.
why I I went with the USF Navy game is because if you, truth be told, it was like overall, like the whole game is really good. But if you just watch one half, either half, neither halves were good. One team dominated one half, the other team dominated the second half. One team sucked in one half, the other team sucked in the other half. So if that game would have been played out all the way through and competitive at any point, it was not competitive at any point. All right, there was no doubt in my mind heading into the fourth quarter that Texas A&M was going to win that football game. Even though they were losing, I knew they were winning that football game. So that's why I went with USF Navy. It was a little bit more like USF. Hey, they get that one stop and score. They're winning the football game. Didn't happen, but it could have. So yeah, that's why I went with that one.
I got you. And no hate. The only reason I didn't go with that one is kind of like, it's similar reasoning to what you said. Navy just kind of had control the whole game, and they
Right.
never really gave it up. So it's like, yeah, it was close, but like, it was like Navy never really lost it. So that's why I stayed away from that. Now, if it was like a
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
forth type of thing, like where they kept changing leads, I probably would have put it up there.
Yeah. Now that a game we didn't talk about, Louisville Clemson was also a really fun game to watch.
I have them.
But it
I
was
have them on my
a little,
somewhere.
yeah, a little too low scoring for my liking personally. That's why I didn't say them.
My team of the week. Uh, I know they just won an award, but it's got to be Texas A&M. You play a terrible first half. Marcel Reed shows you literally every downside he has, and I texted you this, and you kind of laughed. In the first half, Marcel Reed showed you the absolute downside of Marcel Reed, and then in the second half, he came and showed you every single upside.
Yeah.
And you're an undefeated team. You're in the SEC. You're undefeated. Everybody's talking about you. Everybody's hyping you up. You get absolutely Mike Tyson punched in the dome by South Carolina 30-3. What do you do to respond? And you come out and you score 28 straight. That's how you respond.
Yeah.
That's a playoff team right there. And they didn't have a good first half whatsoever. Marcel Reed played absolutely terrible in the first half. Just bad ball after bad ball. Bad decision after bad decision. And in the second half, he came out, and that team acted like none of that had ever happened. And they absolutely hit right back at South Carolina, and South Carolina had no answer. They showed why they were a 3-win team, and Texas A&M was undefeated. And for that reason,
Right.
that's why they are my team of the week.
So I went with Georgia. They straight up bodied Texas for 4 straight quarters and made Texas look terrible. Um, Georgia's looking scary good right now. They
Mhm.
are killing everyone they're playing. So I went with Georgia just because the pure domination against another good team. But I did consider Texas A&M. The only reason why I didn't is once again they literally got absolutely belted in the first half. Georgia just dominated the whole game. So,
Kind of
um,
like why I
but
chose
I considered both.
Texas Tech last week. Just
Right? Yeah.
BTA.
Pure domination the whole entire game.
Yeah.
Impressive. Impressive.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that game. But, like, I
I
didn't
didn't
want to
see any
watch
of it.
that game. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I didn't see any of it because when Alabama loses, I turn off the TV. I don't watch any more football. And I did not see any football past the Alabama game. So
I can't say I blame you.
I didn't see this game. I didn't see this game, but I kept peeking at the scores and I kept realizing, oh man, Texas is getting whooped. And sure enough, they got whooped.
Um, my shocker of the week is Clemson versus Louisville. Louisville, having an impressive season. They're making a push for the playoff. They're in playoff conversation, and they just kind of lose it to a Clemson team that has been very inconsistent all year. Never really had their footing. Really no impressive wins, and they just kind of lose it. And I don't know why. It could be because Jeff Brom is maybe distracted. It could be because Miller Moss, is just, I think he had a interception and a fumble that game. Um,
Couple missed field goals, I think.
yeah.
Also,
So it's, when you're making a push for the playoff, your season's on the line. You know you can't lose another game. You're trying to compete to get into your conference championship game, and you just lose to a team like Clemson. It to me, it's a shocker, especially when you're in a situation like Clemson. You're 5-5 on the year. You were 4-5 going into that game. No impressive wins, really. No signs of consistency, and they just found a way to win.
yeah, I considered that one. But the only reason why I didn't is because I will never be shocked by Dabo Swinney. Um, just because he is a really good football coach at the end of the day. Like, he is a really good motivator. So I guess I'm surprised they won. I wouldn't say it's the biggest shocker of the week for me, but I am a little bit higher on Dabo Swinney than the average person. Um, Maybe it's because he's the only one that could compete with Alabama, truthfully, for like a decade. So maybe that's why. For me, it's Arizona beating Cincinnati at Cincinnati. This was such a shocker. It wasn't even on my radar. We didn't pick this game. We didn't talk about this game. We didn't mention it. In fact, I didn't even know this game happened until I was scrolling through Sunday, and I saw the score of this game, and I was like, wait, what? That happened? Cincinnati lost at home to Arizona. Yes, it did happen. Arizona beat them 30-24. My jaw hit the floor. Sitting in church, scrolling on my phone before the service starts. Before the service starts, and I saw that, and I'm pretty sure I had an audible gasp of, "Wait, what? What? That happened?" Yes, yes, it did, and it shocked me.
um, and then my disappointment of the week. This is a disappointment for another reason than it was last week. This is a disappointment for the team that was disappointed. Disappointment of the week is Boston College was so close to the upset but falls short. More so disappointed because sometimes, like, I like Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is a contender. I like Haynes King. I like what they got going on over there. But when you're a team like Boston College, these kids have nothing to play for. It's their last home game. Um, and they have a chance to do something really special and really crazy and something that nobody expected. And they lose it on a game losing field goal. It is disappointing. It's kind of like one of those heartbreakers of college football. You kind of just feel for some of those kids, and you kind of feel for the coaching staff. I don't know if you feel for Bill O'Brien over there, but
No, not at all.
but to me that was my disappointment of the week because, like I said, you have a chance to do something crazy, do something that nobody expected, and you just fall a field goal short.
Yeah, I also consider that game. Um, we are on the same page a lot this week. Ultimately, what I went with is you have a 30-3 lead at halftime. You have nothing to lose, and you come out and you play so scared and so timid to the point to where you get outscored 28-0 in the second half and you lose the football game. That is incredibly disappointing. So yeah, South Carolina is my disappointing team of the week for pulling that crap. Ridiculous.
I think that would have been my disappointment if I didn't call it. Um,
Yeah,
I
fair
texted
enough.
you
Yeah, you
and
did
said
call it.
I'm. This would be a South Carolina thing to do. Um, I don't know. I texted you an example, and I said I just have this feeling, and I said shout out Brian Harson's first year, 25-point lead against Mississippi State going into halftime, and they just blew it. I will never forget that game.
Yeah.
I was extremely mad when that game happened. I don't think there's been a lot of things that have happened since that game, and I don't know if I've ever been that mad. Wait, fourth and 31. Fourth and 31. That takes the cake. But other than that, I don't think there was a moment in the past 6 years that I've been more frustrated with an Auburn game. And I told you that this is kind of giving the same energy to me. I feel the same way about it. And lo and behold, Shane Beamer does the thinkable because I thought it, and they lost that game. So I guess that's why it's not my disappointment because I had a feeling it would happen, and it did happen.
You know, uh, no shame in losing by 1 point to Texas A&M, and nobody should be getting talked about being on the hot seat after that. In all seriousness, Shane Beamer, what are we doing? And I think this does not help his case. Should he come have a bad year next year, this is something they could point back on and say, you had a 27 point lead at halftime to Texas A&M, and you lost. So that'll be something to watch. Let's say they have a bad year next year. But yeah,
I mean,
I don't crazy.
a 1 point loss is generous. It should have been more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
It should have
Because you
been
see the
more.
high, you know what you can do, and then you show them what you actually do, and So it's similar to, okay. Let's say Alabama goes and loses to Auburn. Kalen DeBoer will get ripped. Why? Because we saw how good this Alabama team could be, and then you let them down. He will get ripped for it. And of course, the hot seat talk will be ramped right back up to where it was after the Florida State game.
Do coin. I think last year was Kalen DeBoer. I think Florida State this year was Kalen DeBoer. I'm not gonna blame Kalen DeBoer for the Oklahoma game.
Yeah, no. People are blaming him. That was not on Kalen DeBoer.
Depending on
No.
what happens in the Auburn game, I don't think this year is on Kalen DeBoer like it was
No.
last year.
I think he's done a really good job. But inevitably,
Right.
it always falls on the coach.
Right.
Always. And not especially at Alabama, but everywhere.
But I do think it's a little bit different from last year. And
I'd agree.
I would love to see him get rushed out of the door if he does lose to Auburn.
You know how Alabama fans are. I'll say that. You know how they are. He loses to Auburn. It's not going to be pretty. He's not going anywhere. I did see an interesting take that should he lose to Auburn, there is so much noise around there that he might actually be intrigued in listening for a way out before he ruins his career. I don't think that'll happen.
I don't know about that.
But crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened. He I don't think it happens, but it is a conversation that could be had. But it's only if he loses to Auburn. If he beats Auburn, then they're probably a playoff team, and nobody's talking about any of this. But we'll see. I hope he doesn't go anywhere.
Speaking of crazy things, right before we started, I saw a report that Ole Miss is giving Lane Kiffin till the Egg Bowl to sign an extension, make a decision essentially. And me and you said this earlier. We've both seen a lot of things on social media today, and I'm pretty sure we both saw similar things. I saw one
We
where
follow a lot of the same accounts.
I'm sure you saw one where Lane's family flew out to Baton Rouge. I'm sure I saw one where I've heard a lot. Someone said they heard a lot from his team that he is going to take the Florida job given a contract or properly pursued. That's what I've seen. I've seen a lot. And, I don't know what's going to happen. And we know Lane's a troll.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
We saw, a picture came out of him by a private jet, like trying to hide his face. And then of course he's posting stuff on social media, and the way he's talking, where he's basically like, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm here. Like he's turning it all down. But yeah, his family is in Baton Rouge, which is not crazy because his daughter is dating a LSU player.
Right.
As well as like his son is going on official visits to some of these places. So it's not insane that they are in Baton Rouge, but it's coincident. A lot of players are upset. Some of the staff's upset. He's hiding his face around a plane. His family's in Baton Rouge. Some interesting conversations are being had for sure. Behind the scenes, there is some work being done. Regardless of what happens.
I also saw a report that Ole Miss was having a players' meeting today.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like that meeting would have already happened and we would have already heard something about it.
I think it did happen.
Maybe it's nothing crazy.
I don't know what. I'm not speculating onto what it was. I just know that it was reported that they were having one.
If anything was like negative, then we would have heard about it. What I think the meeting was just, hey, look, we see all the stuff that's going out.
Right.
I'm not going anywhere. Like, believe me, I'm not going anywhere. It's all fake. Like, it's all just coincidences that people are bringing to light, which is what I think happened because we're not hearing anything from there.
But no, I have nothing more. And we can guess we get on into the predictions.
Yeah. Alrighty. Missouri at Oklahoma. I don't have any information on this game. What you think? I think we already talked about it though. Oklahoma's like a 7.5 point favorite or whatever.
I'm gonna take Oklahoma. Um, kind of just a not a blowout, not really anything crazy. I'm gonna say 24-14 win.
Yeah, we're kind of thinking around the same thing. I'm gonna go 31-20. Um, Oklahoma. So I think they cover, not by a ton, but I think they cover. Um, Louisville at SMU.
Uh, I want to stick next to my. I kind of changed my mind earlier, but I'm gonna stick next to my original prediction. I think Louisville's gonna find a way to win. I think it'll be a close one. I'm gonna go 24-27.
So obviously I went SMU, but my score I have SMU winning 27-24. So same score, different team.
Different teams.
We've done that a couple times this year.
Yeah.
USC at Oregon. I have Oregon winning 37-28. So decently comfortable, but maybe like a late touchdown to kind of make it seem farther away than what it was.
I think USC pulls off the upset. I'm gonna go USC 31, Oregon 24.
All right. Pitt at Georgia Tech.
I think Georgia Tech is just the better team. I think they find a way to get it done. Um, and I think it's going to be by at least a 10-point margin. I'll go 34-24. I'll take exactly 10.
Yeah, we're not too far off. I have Georgia Tech winning 31-27. Just because I think this Pitt passing offense is good enough to score enough points to just stay right behind Georgia Tech. Maybe a late touchdown to bring it close. This is an interesting one. Tennessee goes to Florida. Tennessee has not won in Gainesville since 2003. So take that how you will.
If Tennessee was fighting for a chance in the playoffs, I'd take Tennessee. Considering their season is pretty much over and they're confirmed to bowl already, with all that is going on, I think Florida gets the upset. I'm going to go Florida 24-17.
I agree. Look, the past 22 years, they played this game 11 times in Gainesville, and Florida's won every single time. Until Tennessee proves they can do it, I will pick Florida in this game. I think it's higher scoring. I think Florida wins 30-28. BYU at Cincinnati. We talked about this game a little bit earlier. What are you thinking?
I think I took Cincinnati. I'm going to stick with it. It's just so crazy over there in the Big 12. I think BYU's the better team. I think they're the better coach team. I think they have the better players. I think everything leans BYU. But that's the beauty of college football. Everything can lean your way, and crazy things still happen. Cincinnati's going to win an ugly one, 20-17.
Okay. Yeah. All the same reasons, but I just think BYU gets it done. But I think it is really close. I think BYU wins a 1-point game, 28-27. Baylor at Arizona.
What is Arizona ranked this year? So what, 5-5 as well?
Arizona is like a 7-5 team, or like a
7-3,
or a
7-4.
6 and yeah, they're like sitting right at 6 or 7 wins right now.
Okay.
So they have a chance to be like an 8-win team maybe.
Baylor's 5-5. They're trying to find their way to a bowl game. I think they get it done at Arizona.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Baylor 31, Arizona 27.
This was a game I was flipping back and forth on. I'm gonna go with the home team, the team just coming off a good win. Um, so give me Arizona 38-35. Both these teams are pretty good offensively, so I think it's gonna be a fun game to watch. Could be potential for game of the week a week from now, if it is as high scoring as I think it is
Okay.
going to be. Nebraska at Penn State. Obviously, two teams we perceive very differently, but I think talent-wise, really not far off. In fact, I'd probably lean Penn State overall talent wise. What are you thinking about this game?
No Dylan Raiola. Um, Penn State's coming off of a win, their first win in forever. Since what? Week 4, week
Week
5,
week four, week
week
four,
4.
yeah, week
Um,
week 3 because they had a bye week 4, so week 3.
okay. Since week 3, their interim was very emotional. They were very happy to get that win for them. I think the emotions are still high. I think they find a way to get it done with no Dylan Raiola. I'm going to go Penn State 17-14. Low scoring game.
But I went with a little bit higher scoring, but I also went with Penn State 28-24. Um, Mainly because it's at Penn State. If it was at Nebraska, I'd probably flip it to be honest. But at Penn State, give me Penn State. Duke, UNC. If this was basketball, we would have talked about this game for like an hour. But it's not basketball, so we didn't talk about this game at all. It is at UNC. Obviously, I'm going to go with Duke because I'm never picking UNC. So yeah, give me Duke. 35-28. They win by a touchdown.
I think North Carolina's sitting at 5 wins right now. I believe. I could be wrong. Another
Yes,
team
5-5.
Another team fighting for bowl eligibility. I believe Bill Belichick is bowl eligible his first year as head coach, and I think he pulls off the upset against Duke. Even though UNC is at home, I still think it would be an upset. I'm gonna go UNC 24-20.
USC does keep getting better and better. I think Bill Belichick is there next year because I think he's proving that he has kind of righted the ship just enough to keep his job. But of course, I'm not picking them. Heck no, not picking them. Ever. Never, ever. Kentucky at Vandy. We had to throw in another SEC game, so this is it.
Hey, Kentucky is
What
on
do
a
you
hot
think?
streak right now. I
Yeah,
think
they
they're
are.
3 wins
They are.
in a row, and it could have been 4 if they had gotten it done against Texas. Mark Stoops is trying to save his job. I think he has saved his job for now. Um,
I agree.
I think he gets another year at least. But Vandy is competing for a playoff spot. Diego Pavia is still trying to make a run for Heisman. I doubt he gets it, but you never know.
Yeah.
I think being at Vandy, even though it's at Vandy, they're still at Vandy. I just think it's going to be too much to handle for Kentucky. Kentucky is still a nitty gritty team. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I got a lot of low scoring games this week. Give me Vandy 20-14.
Dang. See, I think this could be a trouble spot for Vandy, because I think there is concern that they could be looking ahead to Tennessee. Because obviously everybody's been telling them that their whole season is riding on them beating Tennessee. They have ever since the Texas game a couple weeks ago. So that could be a concern. Ultimately, I think Vandy just wins and wins somewhat comfortably. I think they win 38-17. Just for an update for the viewers out there, the totals are 70-26 for me, 57-39 for Anderson. Last week I went 5-5. He went 8-2. So we have a 13-point gap, with a lot of football to be left played. That is not including I get bonus for predicting a score, which adds 3 I think to mine. We'll figure all that out at the end of the season. But still a pretty contested game. Let's see how many we disagreed on. We disagreed on
We discovered a lot this week.
3, 4, 5. We disagreed on half the games. So this week will probably shift either really good for you or really bad for you, and vice versa. Or maybe we'll just split and it's not going to matter.
You,
Um,
I realize this is the first time we never predicted, Alabama and Auburn. You scared over there? You scared North Illinois is going to get that upset?
Not at all. We only predicted 2 SEC games because like every SEC team is playing a
Yeah,
cupcake,
a stinker.
and